All right, we're back with another edition. Georgia beating UMass 59-21. I think we both said Georgia would not cover. They came pretty close. Junk touchdown there at the end with Chris Cole fumble recovery, scoop and score. Offensively, there wasn't a whole lot of takeaways. Defensively, there was. I'll let you go ahead and give us your thoughts on what happened.
Well, I slightly disagree. I think there was, offense last two games has looked a lot better. So we still have drop passes, still predictable to some extent with the tunnel screens, but overall, no complaints. Carson seems to have found the right color of jerseys to throw it to, and so those are all good things. So offensively, I thought we looked good. Defensively, I know we went to the game. I said defense looks like ass, and they did. I mean, I think it was 166 rushing yards in the first half.
They had 76 on the first drive.
Yeah, 10 plays right off the bat, threw it one time. And you and I have said this throughout the year about this team. And then I've heard other people kind of like say, well, people want to talk about the standard. They don't even know what the standard is. I know what the standard is not, and so does Kirby. That wasn't it wasn't scheme. We were at the game. They were moving us.
Yeah.
And second half, you put the second team in who are playing, try to, earn a spot and look good and all that. It changed a little bit, right? And so to me, it's just about want to and desire. They weren't ready to play. That's really what it came down to. And that is regardless of Georgia, which I know we'll talk about later, playing in the championship, which we can argue if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm sure it's always a good thing to represent your conference and be in the opportunity to win it all. But this is a very flawed team, and not saying they cannot win a national championship. I'm just saying it is a very flawed team, and I do not believe we have seen the best 4 quarters of this team, soup to nuts, all year. I don't think we've seen it.
We might have seen it against Tennessee, and that was 3 quarters. That might be the best we ever get.
Maybe it is.
And that's just the reality that I'm trying to come to terms with. So to your point, defensively, they weren't ready to play for that game. And you could tell they were lethargic almost coming out. There was zero energy. That has something to do with, being a 12:40 game, not late, really late arriving crowd. Probably the latest I've ever seen it. And it's just a sleepy attitude. And that's what happens. I mean, you're going to get your ass kicked. Now, there's no excuse for the next – it wasn't the second drive they didn't score, but the third and the fourth drive, they scored. And that's a problem. And that I don't know what that is.
Poor tackling. We were getting at lack of effort. I saw it. I'm not going to call out players, but I saw it. I told you. I said he would sit for the rest of the game. It was just poor effort, and we got moved.
Dan Jackson, I'll call guys. Dan Jackson didn't have a really good first half, and then all of a sudden in the second half, he decided, oh, okay, now it's time to play football. And then TikTok boy, Humphrey, he's not out there at corner anymore. It's Daniel Harris. And I got to tell you, Daniel Harris, he can hit. And he's done Tennessee. He did a really good job. But, boys, they're going to be competition next year going in for that second spot. Everett, for all the complaints I had the past 2 seasons on him, he has really done a good job in coverage this entire year. He's really been the best cornerback we've had all season. So I'm not going to complain about him anymore, though I probably will.
And I know we're talking about Dan Jackson and what is it? Number 7? Who is it? Jackson? Harris. Sorry. That one play, when they scored a touchdown, they were both there. Yeah. And he had his hands up in the middle. I mean, he could have stripped that ball. They gave up on that play. Yeah. I don't understand it's one thing to let them catch it, right? But then just because you didn't knock it away, not to tackle the person and give 100% effort to get them down on the ground, we could have forced a field goal instead of a touchdown there. I don't understand that kind of stuff that I see from this team sometimes. I just don't.
I don't either. But you see, like last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, against Tennessee, who's probably one of the best rushing offenses in the entire country.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. And you're like, oh, well, okay, this is the Georgia defense I'm used to. And then the week after, they look like complete dog shit.
They play down to competition, play with their food, and they're good enough to do it. That's the sad part. That you keep doing that kind of stuff, you're gonna turn around and get burnt.
Yeah, and that's it's a worry going into this game. Not really, because everyone's saying that, so that's why I'm not worried. But yeah, I mean that's a worry even in the playoff.
Sure.
If we get in, we play Indiana or Notre Dame, whoever. They're so much better than them. Blah 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 blah, and then they sleepwalk,
right?
Which is what happens. Offensively, I shouldn't have said not a whole lot to take away. I'm just talking about. I saw UMass run out there. They were so small on the front where I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be a joke. Kirby's going to just put it in the wing team. We're just going to go, which is kind of what happened. We threw the ball more than I liked. But I will say this. Bobo, I don't know what happened after that Ole Miss game, but maybe Kirby and him had a conversation. But it's like they discovered the tight ends the past 2 weeks. So we forgot that we had them all year.
Right.
And I also noticed the play calling was very vanilla, and I'm totally fine with it being from vanilla. Formation-wise, there's a lot of formations that we hadn't seen all year or very little of. So that part of it, that looks good. Carson Beck looks sharp there were a few throws there where the old Carson Beck wanted to come out. He almost threw a pick on one play. Running backs look good. I'd like to see Chauncey Bowens get a little bit more touches, but it is what it is. I think he's going to be a good back for us as the seasons go on. But overall, pretty good. And Rydell, seeing Nitro Tuggle.
We gotta call that out because I don't know if that was seen on TV. But I'm talking about that block on the goal line.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something. That kid is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. I mean, he smashed the guy. The defender's head snapped back. He hit him so hard.
Yeah.
So I have high hopes for him. So, yeah.
Scobie White, Nitro Tuggle. That was great seeing them play. I don't know why they haven't played all year. I guess they weren't ready. But they look good. Scobie White gave great effort on that screen. For that first down. That was a great job by him. Lawson Lucky starting to play a lot better. Delp is looking like the tight end that we thought he could have been. So to me, there wasn't a whole lot to take away from, but it looks like the offense is starting to finally piece things together.
A little bit of and I'll say, of course, it's easy against UMass, right? But I think Carson – the biggest thing is Carson Beck's got to be in rhythm, and he cannot be pressured. If you can keep him clean and let him throw in rhythm, he is deadly. And an offensive line deserves, even though it was UMass, deserves some credit for keeping the pocket clean. And I think Carson now starting to show that, hey, there's nothing open. I'm just going to tuck it and run. Even though it was making me nervous against UMass,
it does make me.
That's an important element that the defenses are going to have to adjust for whenever we get in the playoffs. So our SEC championship.
Yeah. I will say this as well. This will be my last point. Gunnar Stockton. I have moved a little bit warmer on him. Not as warm as a lot of people are, but some of the throws that he made, pretty impressive. Though the deep ball he missed, it was bad. But he looked competent. I would in a pinch, I wouldn't be too worried. So, way to go, Gunner. Gold star for you, but still not sold.
I'm not gonna have any comment because I haven't seen the kid play enough, and he was a 4 and 5 star for a reason. So I'll reserve judgment.
Well, all right. All right. Let me read this. This is by Dawgs Stats. Josh. Some of you know him. He's a decent guy. Worked with Graham, by the way. All right. So UGA beat Missouri 9-6 in 2015, in between losses to Tennessee, Bama, and Florida. Do you want to guess what the number one movie was in 2015 in November?
Goodness, I'm not good at this kind of stuff because it gets, as old as I am, it gets hard to measure years like that. So 2015, I'm gonna be so wrong. I have no idea, actually.
All right. Well, it was Hunger Games movie.
Yeah, I would never have gotten that in a million
Second
years.
one was Spectre, James Bond. Also, Creed was at number 5. It came out on Thanksgiving Day. I remember that. That movie was pretty good. Rocky went to go see his son. Made me cry at the end. All right. Do you want to guess the number one song of the week of November 28th, 2015?
No, I'll defer.
Adele. Hello. You know that
All
song?
right. Yeah.
Okay.
You-
Hotline Bling. Does that ring a bell to you? Drake.
No, does not.
Trump did a funny SNL skit with that.
Oh.
All right. So since then, they hired Kirby. Listen to this. So think about where we were at 2015 with all that, the movies, the music. Mark Richt barely beating Tech. Wasn't that game like 13-7 or something? Or 13.
I can't remember, but we that was also the year we barely beat Georgia Southern, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So since then, they have gone to 7 out of his 9 seasons to the SEC championship. They have 3 titles, 2 national championships, wins in the Sugar, Peach, and Orange Bowl. Pretty good hire. I know a lot of people were questioning who we were going to hire if we fired Mark Richt. This guy talking did. And, well, we found the guy. So, even though, look, we both have said that in this version of college football, this current era that we are now embarking on, there's really more to risk than lose or to gain playing in these conference championships. They're basically meaningless now. But to take that all and look at it from, 1,000-foot view, pretty impressive. Kirby's done a great job transforming this program into what it is. So, tip of the cap to Kirby. That was my segment. I thought that was really fun.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, we get on here and we nitpick and complain, and I think that it's our right to do that. And you've got to be honest about the program, and I think that's, as a fan, I think you got to be that way, or at least I'm that way. But in terms of looking at, I think this may be one of the better coaching jobs that Kirby's ever done this year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but it definitely has seemed like it.
Yeah, no, with all the change and how crazy going into the unknowns with a gauntlet of season and dealing with the injuries, I think it's been a fantastic job. So I want everybody to be really clear. I am 100% a believer in Kirby Smart. That does not mean that I cannot. I hope that's the reason that we're doing this channel, that I can't nitpick, but I appreciate where this, where we are as a program, and all those sorts of things. But this environment that we're going into, I would rather be, we talked about it earlier, I'd rather be sitting at home watching the SEC championship than playing in it, because I have no confidence that the committee is going to do the right thing. If we lose this game, I don't know if we're in. And a lot of people on the radio and other, we're definitely in. I'm not really sure that we are.
I'm not 100%. And they said that they weren't going to hurt teams that play in their conference championship that would be in the playoff
Really?
picture.
Well, that would be a change from last year.
Exactly. And Greg Sankey said that would be hard for him to imagine. And I know we said it, Greg, it happened.
It was hard for me to imagine last year, but
yeah. And so here's the other thing too. It does affect you because you go from hosting a playoff game, which Georgia would more than likely be hosting a playoff game, to now traveling on the road. That's a huge difference. Sure. And we have no idea how this is really going to look. And I'd rather be in the position of hosting a playoff game than going on the road and playing in one, because it's an unknown. We have no idea what this is going to, entail. So it's a little, I don't know. It's backwards to me. It seems backwards.
And here's the other thing: if Texas ends up beating Texas A&M, which I very easily could see happen. Although playing at A&M or playing a road game at night against your rival, never an easy thing. So all that being said, but beating the same team twice, and especially a good offensive mind as Sarkisian is, I get really nervous. But I think, we talked about it. Styles make fights, right? Yeah. And I believe Texas is built in a way that if Georgia's fully healthy, we should be able to handle business. But shit, we got to beat Tech.
Well, that's the other thing too going into it, and we'll talk about that later on this week. Probably a podcast coming out Wednesday. But before we shift and kind of give a prelude to that, let's talk about how we got here. So 8 things had to happen for us to play in the SEC championship. And I thought there was no way that Auburn was going to pull that off. Now, I know there's some black magic down there on the Plains, but I thought maybe at the worst, they would keep it tight and then A&M would pull it out. That did not happen. Black magic happened. Auburn's back. And the horseshoe up their ass is still there, man. They've somehow found it again, and they hadn't had it for a couple of seasons, so it's kind of scary.
Jordan Hare, I felt like it could happen. Jordan Hare is a hard place to play in, playing at night. So it didn't totally shock me. The one that shocked me was Bama.
See, that did not shock me at all.
Really? That one did shock me.
Because I knew Oklahoma had a pretty good defense. They have no offense.
A defense surprised me. I know Venables, but even that surprised me.
Well, here's the thing. Alabama, if Jalen Milroe plays bad, Alabama's not going to have a chance to win. And he had a great game against Georgia. And then all the games that they have lost, he's played like dog crap. So, I kind of had a feeling that maybe that, Oklahoma could pull it off. I thought it'd definitely be tighter than what the line said, but oh man, I mean, they're already talking about firing them. I hadn't listened to the legend yet, calling Paul Feinbaum. I saw a tweet before we got on here. I got to listen to that, I'm sure.
I'll let them do whatever they want to do, but anyway.
Pretty bad. Also, here's the other thing about the Texas game. If we play Texas again, who knows, because A&M could still beat them. Quinn Ewers up in the air. Don't know. It might be arch time in Austin. So, there's a good chance that A&M, who honestly, I don't think we match up that well against A&M.
That quarterback and the style that they play is tougher on Georgia than the style that they play with Quentin Ewers, for sure.
Yeah, And hey, look, I know that Kentucky Texas game box score wise was a blowout. It was a lot closer than what it said. Kentucky kind of plays in a similar way Georgia plays. So again, like you said, style makes fights, and it looked like Georgia has. I would feel more comfortable if Texas won.
Really?
Yeah.
I would rather. I'd say that's funny you say that. I would rather because I want to see. We've already played Texas, so I think there's something to beating the same team twice.
It's hard.
Yeah, that worries me.
Yeah, but Texas doesn't really bother me. And then Ole Miss, Florida, Billy Napier. They love him now. Sling Blade, he's got it.
He's done a good job this year, right?
Hey, he's turned that thing around, and credit to him. They're kind of Florida and Tech. They're very similar right now in that they're a tough team. They're not good by any stretch of the imagination, but they're tough. And if you go down to the swamp and give them momentum, which they had against LSU, and then they go into the next week against Ole Miss, it's a tough place to play, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, Jackson Dart could do nothing. He looked terrible.
I will tell you, watching this year, two most improved teams, South Carolina and Florida. South Carolina for sure, Florida secondarily. They've gotten better as the season's gone along. And I'm going to tell you something. If something crazy happens, I believe South Carolina is more deserving to be in the top and the seeded somewhere in there than Indiana, for gosh sakes, or some of these other schools that are going to get seeded. But, that's my opinion. That's not going to be fixed this time around.
Well, here's the thing. With all the chaos that happened, especially in the SEC, you're now looking at 2, 3. I don't know if there'll be a fourth team, but if Texas loses another game, they're more than likely out.
They're out
of the playoff.
I would think they're out.
Maybe, but name brand wise, who knows? So that leaves, let's say, Georgia and Tennessee as two teams. South Carolina has more of an argument than a lot of teams. Definitely more so than Texas, I think. So we'll see what happens. I know the rankings come out Tuesday. It'll be interesting to see where Georgia's at. I would imagine they're probably in that 6th spot. Probably not the 5th spot. It'll be interesting to see where they have us. But I mean, there's a chance that we could be hosting Notre Dame or Indiana in the Sugar Bowl. So I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. Big game for South Carolina too, by the way, at night. Or no, that's a noon game. I'm sorry.
Against Clemson?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, huge.
I mean, that's both of those teams are fighting for a playoff spot.
South Carolina more than Clemson has to be.
Clemson could, if they get it, they could backdoor themselves into this thing.
Oh my goodness!
If they win, there's absolutely a way they can backdoor it.
Well, I mean, it's not our jobs on this channel, but I would pick South Carolina. I can tell you that. I think they'll beat Clemson.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't trust Beamer sometimes. I think he makes stupid decisions. Okay. A little bit of the Tech game. I feel pretty confident. I listened to Tech fans on a podcast. It was C-Dog and some other douchebag Tech fan that is retarded. The only reason why Tech people think they have at least a sliver of hope is because they have a pulse. They barely beat an overrated Miami team. They think they got a pulse. I just don't think they're going to catch Georgia sleeping because, I mean, this is what, the second time? Yeah, I think it is. This is the second time in my lifetime that we played Tech prime time.
Yeah.
Ever.
So in that respect, I'm glad they moved it to Friday night, and I'm fine if it permanently moved to Friday night. To be honest with you, but I agree. I mean, Georgia they certainly shouldn't be looking past this because we can ill afford a loss, right? So I would think that, and I know Kirby understands the rivalry. I would imagine everything's going to be on point. I don't know what the spread is, don't care, but I think Georgia
20.
wins this game. Is it 20?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll cover or not, but it doesn't matter to me. Just, let's get out of there. Let's win this thing, and let's all start focusing on the playoffs. But we can't – it would not surprise me to see Tech come out because Georgia – we played from behind every single game, seemingly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me to be down 7 to 10 points and by the end of the game be up by, 14 to 21 points. That's kind of how I see this
every game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. And this is Tech's Super Bowl, and Brent Key and they barely beat NC State, who is just just not a good football team. And the first thing out of their mouths, both the players and the coach, is, "Oh, to hell with Georgia." Guys, it's okay. I'm glad you had a big win and you're all happy. But hey, and by the way, in this century.
In this century, what?
4. I know Tech people can count. 4 times. They've only beaten Georgia 4 times.
In the century, in 100 years?
The 21st century. Gee, that Georgia diploma is not looking too good.
Right.
Here we are shitting on Tech.
All right. I was just making sure that we all understood. Yeah.
21st. This century, the one that we're currently in, 4 times. So, whatever. Good. Keep talking. Good for y'all. So,
I could see Tech making this a knife fight in the fourth quarter and us winning by 10. That would be, but I just do not see Georgia losing this game.
Well, here's the thing. We'll end it after this. Here's the thing. We were banged up, dead, walking through, waiting for the SEC championship with Alabama. We all knew that was going to be a big game. It felt like half the offense was out for that Tech game. They scored a junk touchdown there. It took them forever to score that touchdown. They brought it in within 8. Tech fans that night were celebrating like they won the national championship. They lost by 8 points. So any semblance of a moral victory for them is just disgusting. I don't want them to have anything. And if we beat them by 10, they're going to celebrate. Well, we gave you all games.
Celebrate. We'll be in the playoffs in the Southeastern Conference Championship, so I'm not worried about that.
I'm not. It's just annoying, and I hate them. And I only think about them for this week and this week only, and they think about us every single day. So, and I know there will definitely be a Tech fan that comments on this. So, burn in hell. I hate all of you. Anyway, it's embarrassing. You pull for a program that the school doesn't even pay attention to athletics. It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. Anyway, that's all I had to say about that. All right, we'll preview the Tech game more in depth. Hopefully, we'll have at least an idea of who's playing, who's not playing. But I don't know, since we're playing an ACC school, do we have to give an injury report this week?
I think you do. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll know one way or the other. There's some good news that have come out in Kirby's press conference today about Roderick and Branson Robinson. So, hopefully, that they can at least get some snaps. That would be a huge help, especially coming down the stretch. And then we'll react to the playoff rankings. I'm sure they'll screw it up somehow and have the most ass-backwards rankings you've ever seen in your life, but we're going to talk about it. So check us out on Instagram, X, TikTok at Terminus Sports _ATL. Remember to like and subscribe. We picked up some more subscribers. So thank you. We're getting close to 100. I don't know how many we have right now, but we're getting close. So we appreciate it. 1 counts as close to me. So we all appreciate it. And then our presenting sponsors, Unishippers Atlanta. Give us a pitch.
We work with small to medium-sized companies, helping them reduce their shipping cost. If you think your shipping cost is a little bit out of line, anything from small envelope all the way up to pallets, feel free to reach out for a no obligation cost analysis and ask for Holland Martin.
All right. We'll talk about the Tech game on Wednesday, and we'll see you on the other side.